All right, so let's dive into something
Okay.
that's been making waves lately. Brain rot. That
Ugh.
nagging feeling that all the time we spend online might be,
Yeah.
well, making us a little less sharp.
It's certainly captured the zeitgeist, hasn't it? Oxford even declared brain rot the word of the year for 2024.
Oh, wow.
Today,
That's
we'll be unpacking a video from the infographics show
okay.
called Science Proves If Brain Rot is Really Making You Dumb and
Um,
exploring whether this fear is justified or if it's just a case of digital age anxieties.
To start, I was struck by how different entertainment was just a generation ago.
Mm.
We had TV shows with clear episodes,
Yeah.
sporting events with definite endings.
Right.
It feels like there were built-in pauses,
Yeah.
a natural rhythm to consuming content.
What we have now is a constant stream of information and stimulation,
Yeah.
particularly on platforms like TikTok,
Right.
Reddit,
Mm.
or YouTube,
Yeah.
where algorithms keep you glued to the screen.
And those algorithms are a big part of the brain rot conversation right now. It's like they're designed to hijack our attention,
Yeah.
serving up an endless buffet of whatever keeps us clicking.
It's more than just keeping us clicking. It's about keeping us engaged
Right.
for as long as possible.
Mm.
Think about infinite scrolling,
Yeah.
a feature used on almost every social media platform.
Right.
It creates the illusion of endless content encouraging us to scroll indefinitely.
Right. And then there's the autoplay feature
Yes.
on platforms like YouTube,
Yeah.
seamlessly transitioning from one video to the next,
Mhm.
making it incredibly easy to lose track of time.
Absolutely.
It feels like we're losing the ability to consciously choose what we consume.
Yeah.
Instead, we're being fed a constant stream of content, often designed to be addictive rather than informative.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
These algorithms aren't simply presenting us with information.
Right.
They're shaping our desires,
Yeah.
influencing what we crave.
Wow.
It's a subtle but powerful form of manipulation.
So on one hand, we have this never-ending stream of easily digestible content.
Yeah.
But on the other,
Yeah.
there's this concern that our ability to focus and think critically is eroding.
Mm-hmm.
What does science actually say about how our brains are being affected?
Studies are starting to reveal a worrying trend.
Okay.
Research indicates that excessive screen time,
Right.
particularly on smartphones,
Yeah.
could be altering brain structure.
Wow.
Some studies have shown differences in gray matter development
Okay.
in individuals who spend a significant amount of time online,
Mm-hmm.
particularly among heavy smartphone users.
Oh, wow.
This suggests that the constant stimulation of the digital world
Right.
could be impacting how our brains develop and function.
This is starting to feel a lot less like a trendy term and more like a genuine concern.
Yeah.
It's not just forgetting where you put your keys. It's potentially impacting our ability to learn and retain information.
Mm.
Are we basically outsourcing our memory to Google?
There's a growing reliance on the internet as an external memory bank.
Okay.
Instead of committing information to memory,
Yeah.
we're becoming adept at quickly finding it online. While this skill is valuable, it raises concerns about our ability to retain knowledge long-term
Okay.
and engage in deep, focused thinking.
So we're getting used to quick hits of information.
Yeah.
But our brains might be paying a price in terms of deeper cognitive processes.
Right.
Does this affect everyone equally? I feel like the brain rot conversation often focuses on Gen Z.
That's a misconception.
Oh, really?
While younger generations have grown up immersed in the digital age,
Right.
research shows that adults are also spending increasing amounts of time online.
Okay.
For instance, studies in the UK indicate that older generations now average over 3 hours a day on social media.
Oh, that's still a lot.
We're all being impacted by this shift in media consumption habits, regardless of age.
It seems like the more connected we become, the more vulnerable we are to these potential downsides. And then there's the whole issue of misinformation,
Absolutely.
which feels like a whole other layer of brain rot.
The rise of misinformation online is a serious concern.
Yeah.
Social media is awash in conspiracy theories,
Right.
fake news, and manipulated content,
Right.
making it increasingly difficult to discern truth from fiction.
It's like we're bombarded with so much information that it becomes overwhelming,
Yeah.
making us more susceptible to sensationalized or misleading content.
Right.
And it's not just harmless rumors.
Right.
This stuff has real-world consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about the viral conspiracy theories that claimed Californian wildfires were started by drones.
Oh, yeah.
Or the fabricated stories about Ukrainian generals losing their homes.
Right.
We even saw AI-generated images during the North Carolina floods,
Wow.
further blurring the lines between reality and fabrication.
Right.
This misinformation seeps into our understanding of the world,
Yeah.
shaping our perceptions and potentially influencing our decisions.
It feels like critical thinking is being eroded on both sides. Not only are we becoming less able to focus and process information deeply,
Right.
but we're also swimming in a sea of misinformation,
Yeah.
making it harder to even know what to trust.
You've hit on a crucial point.
Yeah.
The challenge isn't just the sheer volume of information we consume, but also the difficulty in evaluating its credibility.
Right.
It's a double whammy that undermines our ability to form informed opinions and engage in constructive dialogue.
Right. It's unsettling to think about how easily manipulated we can be. But amidst all this talk of brain rot, there's also this fascinating trend, particularly among some in Gen Z, of leaning into the absurd.
Right.
It's like they're embracing the chaos.
Yes. The genre of participation, as
Okay.
anthropologist Mimi Ito calls it.
I see.
It's a way of engaging with online culture, not by passively consuming,
Right.
but by actively participating in the creation and spread of absurdity.
Remember Skibidi Toilet? Animated singing toilets taking over the internet.
Yeah.
Or the fictional Scorsese film Gurov
Right.
that everyone was talking about despite it never actually existing.
Yes.
It's like a collective in-joke reveling in the nonsensical.
It's a way of finding humor and connection in a digital world
Right.
that can feel overwhelming and at times quite bleak.
It makes me wonder if it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
A way to deal with the information overload and the constant barrage of negativity we face online. Almost a way to reclaim some agency in a digital environment that can feel very controlling.
It's an interesting theory, perhaps, by embracing the absurd.
Right.
They're subverting the algorithms, refusing to be manipulated by the forces that seek to keep us perpetually engaged.
So we've got this generation grappling with a digital landscape that's arguably more complex and challenging than anything we've seen before.
Right.
And then you have government stepping in,
Yeah.
trying to address this perceived brain rot crisis. What approaches are they taking?
There's a spectrum of responses, some more drastic than others.
Yeah.
Florida, for example, passed legislation banning children under 14 from accessing social media.
Wow.
A complete ban.
Wow, that seems pretty extreme. Is that even enforceable?
Well,
And what about the potential downsides of cutting kids off from these platforms entirely?
that's the debate.
Yeah.
Critics argue that it's an overreach,
Okay.
infringing on personal freedoms and potentially hindering social development.
Right.
Australia's approach is even more restrictive,
Right.
banning social media for all children under 16.
Wow.
This has sparked even more controversy, raising concerns about censorship and the feasibility of such sweeping bans.
It seems like there's a real tension between protecting young people
Yeah.
and allowing them the freedom to explore and connect in the digital world. Where do we draw the line?
It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah.
While the intentions may be good,
Yeah.
outright bans raise questions about individual liberty and the effectiveness of such measures in the long run.
Okay.
Some experts argue that focusing on regulating algorithms and promoting media literacy might be a more sustainable solution.
It's clear that we can't just ignore the problem,
No.
but the solutions aren't straightforward either.
Right.
So let's talk about what we can do on an individual level.
Okay.
Is there any hope for combating brain rot? Can we reclaim control of our digital habits?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not about becoming Luddites and rejecting technology altogether. It's about being more mindful of our consumption
Okay.
and engaging with technology in ways that support our cognitive well-being.
Okay. So give us the good stuff.
All right.
What are some practical steps we can take?
Firstly, being mindful of our screen time is crucial.
Okay.
Even short breaks can make a difference.
Yeah.
Step away from your devices regularly, even for a few minutes, to give your brain a chance to reset.
I'm a big fan of digital detoxing, but it's easier said than done right. What are some strategies for actually putting it into practice?
Start small.
Okay.
Designate certain times or spaces as screen-free zones. No phones at the dinner table, for instance, or an hour before bedtime.
Right.
These small changes can have a significant impact.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
I like it. But what about those times when you do want to unwind and scroll through your feed?
Yeah.
Any tips for making that a little less brain rotting?
Be intentional about what you're consuming.
Okay.
Instead of endlessly scrolling, choose specific accounts or topics you find genuinely interesting or informative. And remember, platforms like Blue Sky are promoting no algorithm models.
Oh, right.
Which means you're seeing content based on who you follow.
Right.
Not what some AI thinks you want to see.
That's a great point. It's about taking back control of our feeds.
Yeah.
Making conscious choices about what we expose ourselves to.
Exactly. And beyond reducing screen time,
Yeah.
actively engaging in mentally stimulating activities is key. Things like reading puzzles, learning a new language, or even playing a musical instrument can help sharpen your cognitive skills and strengthen your mental resilience.
So it's about finding a balance, right?
Yeah.
Embracing the benefits of technology while being mindful of its potential downsides and actively engaging in activities that nourish our minds.
Precisely. It's about cultivating a healthy relationship with technology, one that supports our well-being rather than depleting it.
Right.
And perhaps most importantly, we need to become more discerning consumers of information.
So critical thinking is key.
Absolutely.
Don't just blindly accept everything you see online.
Yeah.
Question the source, consider the biases, and look for evidence to support the claims.
Especially in this age of AI-generated content, which is becoming increasingly sophisticated and difficult to distinguish from human-created content.
It feels like we need to develop a whole new set of digital literacy skills to navigate this landscape effectively.
Absolutely. And part of that is understanding how these algorithms work and how they influence our behavior.
Yeah.
Once we understand the mechanics, we can start to reclaim some control.
It's empowering to realize that we have agency in this.
Right.
We're not just helpless victims of the digital age.
Well, no.
We can make choices that shape our experience and protect our mental well-being.
Exactly. It's not about demonizing technology. It's about using it wisely and intentionally and recognizing that it's a tool that can be used for good or ill, depending on how we choose to wield it.
So it's not just about avoiding brain rot.
Right.
It's about actively pursuing brain gain.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating digital habits that nourish our minds, expand our knowledge, and enhance our cognitive abilities.
This deep dive has really highlighted the complex relationship we have with technology and the importance of being aware of its potential impact on our minds.
It's an ongoing evolution. As technology advances, so too will our understanding of its influence on us.
Yeah.
It's a continuous process of adaptation and learning.
And it's not just about individual responsibility.
No, it's not.
We need to be having these conversations on a societal level, figuring out how to create a digital landscape that promotes well-being rather than exacerbating these negative trends.
It's about fostering media literacy, promoting critical thinking skills, and creating spaces for open dialogue about the challenges and opportunities of the digital age.
What I found especially fascinating was the concept of the genre of participation. It suggests that, at least for some in Gen Z, embracing the absurd might be a way of navigating this complex digital world. It's almost a form of rebellion against the algorithms, a refusal to be manipulated.
It speaks to the creativity and resilience of this generation, finding ways to cope with the pressures and anxieties of a hyper-connected world.
This deep dive has given me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be more mindful of my own digital habits and the content I consume.
Good.
I'm also curious to see how the conversation around brain rot evolves.
Yeah.
As we continue to grapple with the implications of our increasingly digital lives.
It's a conversation worth having. And it's a conversation that needs to include everyone from policymakers to tech developers to individuals, all working together to create a digital future that supports human flourishing.
Well said.
What?
To wrap things up, brain rot is a real phenomenon backed by science, but it's not an inevitable outcome.
Right.
We can combat it by being mindful of our screen time,
Yeah.
engaging in mentally stimulating activities, and most importantly, cultivating critical thinking skills.
And by remembering that we have agency in this digital age,
Right.
we can choose how we engage with technology.
Yeah.
And we can shape its impact on our minds and on society as a whole.
So for all our listeners out there, remember to step away from the screen every now and then.
Yes.
Engage your brain in challenging activities.
Right.
And don't be afraid to question the information you encounter online.
And if you find yourself spiraling down a rabbit hole of singing coilets or non-existent Scorsese films, well, maybe that's just Gen Z's way of reminding us not to take it all too seriously.
A little bit of digital absurdity might just be the antidote we need in these overwhelming times.
It's certainly food for thought.
It definitely is. Until next time, keep those brains sharp and remember to dive deep.
Okay.
But not too deep.
Happy exploring.